BRICS is the acronym for an association of 5 major emerging national economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The BRICS members are all leading developing or newly industrialized countries. They are distinguished by the large and sometimes fast-growing economies, and they have significant influence on global affairs, since all 5 of them are G20 members. This is due to the fact that the 5 BRICS countries represent half of the world population and account for 1/5 of global GDP.
The BRICS New Development Bank is a multilateral development bank based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and Shanghai, China, that was set up by the world's emerging economies, which are often referred to as BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, in their bid for acquiring a larger role in the global financial system. Indeed, BRICS have tried to reform the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank for years in order to give emerging economies a more relevant role in the world's financial structure. However, their lack of success led them to the establishment of the New Development Bank, which aims to promote a sustainable development and to finance infrastructure projects in any of its funding states, as well as in any other low and middle-income countries, given that 2/3 of the world's nations are experiencing serious problems of crumbling infrastructures, making investment in infrastructure a critical element for their process of development. The bank aims to support both public and private projects through loans, guarantees, and other financial instruments, at the same time that works alongside local, regional, and global financial institutions and other multilateral development banks in order to promote global growth and development. This way, the bank will provide resources to help fill the gap in investment in infrastructure and sustainable development resources in emerging economies. In addition to that, the New Development Bank lends money in the domestic currencies of its members, the BRICS, which will enable the internationalization of their currencies and will therefore diminish the power of the dollar as the world's leading reserve currency. Hence, the bank will eventually emerge as a major cornerstone of the global development framework.
What are the special characteristics of the NDB? What differentiates the NDB with the rest of the old multilateral development banks is that the new development bank is based on South-South states cooperation, rather than using help coming from co-countries. Also, having equal power sharing on the institution and the introduction of the sustainable development concept on their objectives. The meaning of a South-South state cooperation is that the new development bank has been created in order to boost the infrastructures of the developing economies with the funding of BRICS countries, which are states that have and are facing similar problems in the economy as their benefactors. The bank will also receive complementary funding from other financial institutions from the private sector in order to reach better its objectives. According to the same official website of the bank, it states that infrastructure development is the key driver of economic and social growth. In the context of developing nations, infrastructural deficiencies are a matter of concern. We at NDB strive to identify the gaps between needs and funding. Our mission is to bridge these gaps and be a partner in bringing about truly holistic development. BRICS countries are funding the bank, but in a way that each government has in a property 1/5 of the shares of the bank, meaning that every participant country has equal power on the decision-making process. This feature constitutes the major difference with the existing developing banks, as well as their commitment to not put political conditions to their programs. The last characteristic that defines the NDB is the use of the concept of sustainable development for their objectives. They consider 21st century progress has been insufficient and harmful for the world's environment, so the programs of the bank will seek to fulfill the conditions to become supporters of a sustainable development. The new direction taken would ensure to create growth as well as employment without harming the environment.
The creation of this new development bank challenges in a quite high level the current global economic governance. The current international organizations, including World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, are the primary venues of the global economic governance, through which international rules, decisions, and treaties are established, reached, and enforced. Nevertheless, the existence of the BRICS Bank, that combines features of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, together with the recent created Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, represent the first serious institutional challenge that the global economic order established at Bretton Woods has to face. According to realist researchers, these rising powers have a destabilizing role, creating a high possibility for them contesting the current governance arrangements in their broader geopolitical rivalry with the United States. On the other hand, liberal theorists criticize realists for dismissing the open and rules-based nature of the international order that alleviates security competitions and fosters integration into existing governance institutions. They believe that, consequently, the rising powers are finding incentives and opportunities to engage and integrate into this order, doing so to advance their own interests. The BRICS discourse is shaped mainly by two distinct processes, namely the Goldman Sachs Research Report and the diplomatically driven initiative launched by the leaders in BRICS summit declarations. These processes have to shape the conceptualization of emerging powers as well as the positions of these countries in geopolitics. Economic power does not necessarily translate into international influence, but it seems the BRICS have so far been able to transform their economic power into international political influence.